So this is a video of Bellie for Laura, and a little bit of flat work that we did with her today. And I think if you look at Bellie, you can see why the flat work's a bit of a struggle for her. She's very strong in her shoulders and her neck, like she's very broad in that area, but then she has kind of a long, weak back and a weak hind end. And it's not a bad thing, it's just a lot of times you can tell what a horse is going to ride like or what they're going to struggle with just by looking at them. And our main goal is to get her pushing from behind and not sort of pulling herself along with her front end. So Dan's main focus in riding her these past couple weeks has been getting her a little bit more reactive to the aids, and I would agree, to me she's a little bit slow to react, and a lot of the time she's not really in front of the aids, like she's not really in front of the leg and out to the hand, she's kind of behind the leg and braced on the hand. So my job when I'm training her is to always think about ways that I can get her working more from behind and sort of finding her balance in her core and her hind end and not trying to balance on my hand. So there you saw to the left and now to the right. I'm just doing these little like trot walk transitions, and the whole time that I'm doing them, I'm thinking of just pushing her hind end out on the circle a little bit, and I can get her to do it at the walk more than the trot, and it's not really so much about getting her to move laterally as it is just a way to keep thinking like you have to ride her back to front. Because if I were to get on her and to say like, well, I want you to be in a frame, so I'm going to hold and sort of pull, she would get quite strong and almost say like, oh, thank you, give me your hand and I'll balance on it. So I'm not worried at all about what is happening in her frame, although the goal is to get her sort of soft through her whole body, including her top line and her mouth. But I'm focused much more like here in this down transition, like I really have my right leg on, and she goes to come above the bit, but rather than pulling, to sort of pull her nose in and giving her really what she wants, which is my hand to balance on, I keep working my leg, keep working her hind end, and keep saying like, no, you have to step under and actually carry yourself along. So then I'm doing the same thing now with changes of direction, and each time I go to change direction, I'm putting in that little transition. Now she's moving off my right leg, and then goes forward from it, and then making sure that here she gets a little bit low, so I'm not giving her my hand balance on and kind of softening my hand and keeping my leg on, so she has to keep pushing from behind, and ideally her pull stays the highest point, and we think about that energy coming from behind across her whole body. And then there, as I go to change direction and she goes to stiffen and brace on my hand, I really put my left leg on and say, no, keep working your hind end. Yes, we're changing direction, but that's not an excuse to pitch onto your left shoulder and lose your balance. You have to keep standing up off of my leg. You have to be reactive to my leg, and you're never allowed to stop giving me that pushing power from behind. And here you'll see I keep changing direction. I think Dan's mentioned it, and I would just reiterate and agree. If you did this with her every day, it would be like going to the gym and doing like your hard squat sessions every day. One, you'd get sore, but two, you'd also get really cranky. So I think finding other ways to help her get stronger and help her understand how we want the aid. So hacking up and down hills, just walking out on like light rain, no contact, don't give her your hand to let her balance on, using the jumping to keep her, cheerful and thinking not just about the aids in terms of like, wow, this is going to be really hard work, but this is going to be fun and this is going to be enjoyable. This is definitely her harder day, and it would be worth, mixing in sort of on a 3-day rotation, flat day, hack day, jump day, so that she always has something to sort of change up the conversation, but keep helping her stay strong and stay mentally on your side. And then I think I start to be able to change direction without using the transitions, just kind of moving her off one leg to the other. But I always kind of keep that transition in my back pocket. And again, it's not pulling on her nose to get her to slow down. It's just sort of gently reminding her that she has to keep working from behind. And we just threw in a little bit of canter so you could see. That's sort of a different kettle of fish, but same idea, that in the canter she steps under, keeps stepping from behind, and I'm never going to pull her in the canter because that would get her way too strong in my hand. and we'd lose the energy behind, which is really what we're trying to gain access to when we're riding.
So then towards the end of the ride, I start to let her lengthen her frame without diving onto her forehand, sort of diving onto my hand. So you can see she's a little unsteady in her balance, but it's more important to keep her pushing from behind than to sort of give her a false frame by just kind of holding her head in one place. And then I finish with a walk transition where she's not allowed to drop behind my leg and sort of take the energy away. And she's also not allowed to just lean onto my hand into the walk transition, so it takes a few repetitions to coach her through it. But anyways, that's what she's been up to. Hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll look forward to seeing you out soon.